Hello all, and welcome to tonight's cider review. This afternoon cider review. It's almost 4 p.m. in Hawaii. Weather's looking like it's calming down somewhat. It's kind of chilly after a very hot and muggy past few days, which included some very spectacular thunderstorms, the like of which very rarely happen here in Hawaii. And I'm going to be reviewing cider today, another cider from Paradise Cider, which I went and filled up at Three Peaks here. And this is the other cider that they have on tap. Laid back Lilikoi. Of course, Leid, not spelling like Laid usually is, but L-E-I-D. As in wearing a lei. I know, ha 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 ha. I try not to judge things too much on name, but I absolutely loathe names based on puns of Hawaiian names, because it's really cheesy, especially the lei one, which has been around since like the 1960s. But that's neither here nor there. So this is 6.9 ABV. It is an apple cider that is made with Lilikoi, which some of you know is a fruit that I have mentioned at times as a tasting note in certain IPAs. It is a tropical fruit that actually grows very almost weed-like here in Hawaii, certain varieties of it. The best ones are, you have to cultivate a little bit, they have more pulp than seed. The ones that kind of grow weedy have a lot of seed to them. And it's very sweet. It's very difficult to describe, but it tastes very tropical fruity. And like I said, it's very difficult to describe. You'll know it when you try it. The closest I can say is kind of like in between passion fruit and guava, only sweeter in flavor. What can I say? So, without much further ado, we're going to be drinking this apple cider, and we're going to be pouring it into regular no-nick pint glass. Of course, I can get it open. There we go. Of course, being a cider, not much in the way of a head. So let's just get to the sniff notes first. Whew, very intense smell. It smells like you're underneath a Lilikoi tree that's full of fruit that's falling on the ground, and kind of, the air is just filled with the smell of because the fruit's pretty soft, so it pulps when it hits the ground. Almost an overripe smell. But pleasantly so, not like sort of smell. Pleasantly smell. It pleasantly smells overripe, and I know there's a certain chemical term for that word that's escaping my memory right now. The apples are definitely there underneath the Lilikoi. Lilikoi is sitting there on top, all wide and heavy. Apple in there is underneath, delivering a nice crispness and a sort of slight mineral edge to it. Also hints of banana too, for some reason. Very juicy smelling, exceedingly juicy smelling, unsurprisingly, considering that it is a alcoholic beverage brewed from juice. And let's get to the coloration notes here. A cloudy yellow-orange, or orange-yellow, depending on your interpretation there. See it against the light here, a really bright one. Maybe a little bit too bright for the camera. You can kind of see how cloudy it is. Yeah, probably a little bit more toward well, I don't know. Difficult to say. Well, let's get to it, shall we? Very soft carbonation that interestingly doesn't have very much immediate bite, but bites a little bit more later on. Very juicy and sweet up front. Juiciness increases in the mid palate, almost mouth-wateringly juicy. You get this sort of brashing reaction from the juiciness and the tartness that arrives in the mid palate. The finish is, interestingly, the finish is almost like you've chewed up an apple and swallowed it. And actually pretty dry for some reason. I mean, it clears the palate very well in the finish. There's some elements of herbaceousness and, you know, the more effervescent notes, but intensely juicy in the front and mids, with a kind of pulpy finish, dry pulpy finish, fruit pulpy, not paper pulpy. It is interesting to me how the carbonation is so different from beer in that, you know, it kind of nips in the mids and, you know, feels very flat in the front, but nips in the mids. And it's kind of a strange sensation for me, and I'm wondering what kind of brings that about. If it's a, you know, if the cider has a different gravity to it, gravity i.e. density, or if there's some sort of chemical thing going on there. In that, you know, carbonation kind of forms on the tongue easier in beer than it does in cider. So, you know, it kind of delays that sort of feeling of carbonation on the palate. Fairly thick tasting, but not oily at all like a thick tasting beer would be. More like a thick juice. Interestingly, for 6.9, not very boozy at all. Also for a 6.9, surprisingly thirst-quenching. This one would really sneak up on you, I can tell that already. It is starting to sneak up on me because it doesn't taste strong at all. Strong in the sense of a strong alcoholic beverage. It really tastes juicy. This could be dangerous to drink for some people. Overall, I have to say I like the tactile elements of this better than the Pineapple Cruiser one, but I preferred Pineapple Cruiser's smell and flavor profile in that it wasn't so clunky over the head with its adjunct, you know. This one, the Lilikoi, definitely, especially in the nose, kind of takes precedence, and to a lesser extent in, you know, the front and in the mids too. It definitely tastes more tropical than appley, though the apple definitely has far more of a presence on the tongue, on the palate, than it does on the nose. Excuse me. All in all, I really like that sort of delayed effect that this carbonation, that the carbonation bite comes in later, because it allows for a different arc of taste, really. If it was like a beer, I'm pretty sure this would taste much more tart in the mids than it does, because that sort of carbonation delays, you know, it bites in just as when the tart is also starting to kick in. Tartness is starting to kick in. And, well, I'm kind of happy to be exploring cider. It's an interesting and new thing for me. And I'm hoping, well, there's not much choice in regards to locally made cider, but I'm planning on maybe perhaps buying and reviewing another craft cider. I believe I did 2 cider reviews in the distant past. God knows I have umpty million videos online and umpty million to upload. I just went and counted. I have like some 20 videos backlogged to upload. Really sorry about that, people. It's just my connection is so unbelievably slow. It's like literally I can only upload 1 or 2 a day. Thank you very much, Spectrum Cable and the poopy wireless here in the concrete house. Well, that's your cider review for today. Laid back Lilikoi from Paradise Ciders, a cider house here in Hawaii. A very interesting and different sort of taste for me. Well, not so much taste, but feeling for me in my mouth. And, you know, give it a shot. I think some people like this are a little bit more blown away by the flavor profile than I am. Mainly because I have grown up drinking Lilikoi, and I think it's kind of an overwhelming flavor for me. And I never liked Lilikoi as much as passion fruit or guava, or orange or grapefruit juice for that matter, as I always found it too sweet and too strong tasting for me. So I think other people's mileage may go a lot farther with this than mine in regards to Lilikoi as an adjunct. Well, that's your cider review for today, folks. Cheers.